I'm going to show you how we found a manufacturer for our new Amazon FBA product. And there's 3 common ways that people use to find a manufacturer for a product when they're going to sell on Amazon. The first is that they go to a website like Alibaba.com. And with Alibaba.com, there's hundreds of thousands of manufacturers and suppliers. And if you're looking to find a manufacturer overseas, this is the best website to do it. Although now, with major tariffs put onto China, this might not be the best way. But I'm going to show you step by step how you can actually find your own supplier or manufacturer the best way in 2025. The most common way to find a manufacturer is to go to google.com and just type in whatever you're looking to find a manufacturer for, space manufacturer. And you can see that there's hundreds of different companies here that will manufacture a product for you. I'll show you how to go through this, how you can find a good manufacturer, and how to make sure you're getting the best price later in this video. But the third most common way that people use to find a manufacturer is to use ThomasNet.com. And if you're looking to get a product manufactured in the United States, this is a huge directory of tens, if not hundreds of thousands of different manufacturers right here in the United States that can make your product for you. I'll also show you how to use this later in this video. If you're new to this channel, my name is Connor and we just launched this $25,000 a month Amazon FBA business. Make sure to like and subscribe because I'm going to show you step by step how we found, made, and launched this product. Now, let me show you how we found our manufacturer and how you can find your own manufacturer for a product you're going to sell on Amazon. Alibaba.com is the #1 place I'd recommend if you're creating a product to sell online. However, you want to be especially careful right now to see if you're working with a Chinese manufacturer or in another country overseas. But there's a lot of advantages to manufacturing overseas, including low labor costs, and the #1 directory for Chinese manufacturers and overseas manufacturers in general is Alibaba. All you have to do is click on manufacturers and then type in the type of product that you're looking to make. So we're going to type in Carnivore jerky, and you can see that there are hundreds of different manufacturers that can make the exact product we're looking to make. Now, just to be clear, if you're making a consumable product, I don't recommend making it overseas. So we did not use Alibaba.com for this product. There's actually also a whole host of other websites that are for manufacturing in specific countries like India, Pakistan, and Vietnam so that you can avoid the massive tariffs that are put on China right now. I go over all these sites and options inside of our Amazon FBA program, the Passion Product Formula. If you're interested to get started to learn how right now is actually the best time ever to get started selling on Amazon, make sure to check out that link in the description. And let me show you how to use Alibaba.com or any of these other similar manufacturing sites. In fact, let me show you how to use one of the biggest alternatives to Alibaba.com right now, which is Exporters India. Although Alibaba and any of these other sites will function in a very similar way. The first thing you're going to always want to do is make sure you work with a verified supplier. And to do that, you can click right here. A verified supplier means that Exporters India or Alibaba has actually sent an inspector to their warehouse, which is their manufacturing facility, and verified that they're a legitimate business. The other thing you're going to want to do is click on Trade Assurance. This makes it so that Alibaba guarantees that when you send money to your manufacturer, you're going to get the products that you want. So now we have a list of different manufacturers that have trade assurance and are verified suppliers. Now there's not a lot of manufacturers for carnivore jerky overseas. As I mentioned, most people that are making food-based products are not going to do it overseas because if we're selling in the US, we need it to be in an FDA approved facility. So instead, let's just use an example like flashcards. For instance, let's use AJ's product as an example, and it's called Cocktail Cards. And in his first year, he did over $500,000 in sales, and he found his manufacturer using Alibaba.com. You can see here there are tons of different companies. So as I mentioned, the first thing I'm going to do is click on Trade Assurance, as well as click on Verified Supplier. You can see that there are a bunch of different companies left after doing that, because paper products is something that a lot of people do buy overseas and they don't care where it's made. So the next thing we're going to look at here is how long the company has been in business. For instance, this has been in business for 10 years. This company's been in business for 7 years, 9 years, and so on. And that's one of the things that I like to look for. I want to work with a company that has been around for a little while. Another thing that you can look at is how many people they have on staff. And depending on what kind of business you're starting, you may want to work with a really big company. Or if you're newer and want to work with a smaller company, you can find a smaller company to work with. We can also see how much money in sales they've done through Alibaba or Exporters India, or most of these other sites will have a mechanism like this. We can see on Alibaba right here, over 2 million, over 2.7 million, over 500,000. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is smaller businesses sometimes might be more willing to work with you if you're a new business. They might also have smaller MOQs, also known as a minimum order quantity. This is how much you'll need to order from a manufacturer before they will want to work with you. And typical minimum order quantities depend on the product. For instance, with cocktail cards, they said at a minimum, AJ had to order 500 units. Now let's just say we found a manufacturer that we like. We're going to click on that manufacturer, and we're going to review everything here. We can look at the reviews. We can see that this factory has a 4.9 out of 5-star review, which is pretty good. And we can chat now with them, or we can send inquiry. If I wanted to start working with them, I'll send them a message that says something along the lines of, I'm looking to create a product with 100 flashcards. I want it to be about 4 × 6 inches for each flashcard. I'm going to need a box, and maybe even show them an example of the box that you want your cards to look like. Then give them a little bit of the details. You don't need to tell them what's exactly going to be on each flashcard. You can still ask them, what is the minimum order quantity and what is the price at that minimum order quantity? Typically, most factories, the per unit cost will go down the more of the product that you order. And I actually recommend you say something to the effect of, we're looking to do a production run of around 10,000 units, but we want to do a test run first. What is your minimum order quantity and what is your pricing if we order 500 units, 2,000 units, and 10,000 units? Always show them that you're interested in buying more units in the future. Keep in mind that a lot of these manufacturers, even though they show products that they sell, they will allow you to customize these products. For cocktail cards, AJ told them that he wanted to have his own designs, and they were like, yeah, of course we can do that. So what I recommend you do is go through and contact as many manufacturers as possible. You can also do an RFQ, and this is a request for quotation. And this is where you can fill in what your sourcing requirements are. You would say something like 100 flashcards, 6x10, 4x6, what the box dimensions would be, everything like that. And then click Get Quotes Now, and all the manufacturers will send messages to you. I recommend doing both the RFQ and going through this list and contacting as many manufacturers individually as possible. Then you can create a spreadsheet and put all the different manufacturers' names, as well as what their minimum order quantity is, what their pricing is at their 500 tier, the 2,000 tier, and the 10,000 tier, or whatever numbers that you're interested in getting. Before you actually commit to working with a manufacturer, you can look through this list and see who is the person that you most want to work with. We do have a spreadsheet template that you can use, as well as a complete checklist that includes everything that you can do to make sure that your manufacturer is ready before you commit to them. And all of that inside of our Amazon FBA program, the Passion Product Formula. Again, there's a link down below if you're interested in joining that and serious about getting started. Some of the things that are in this checklist are some things that you should be thinking about when you're looking to work with a manufacturer. Is you should ask them what's their lead time. The lead time is how long it's going to take them from when you place the order until when you actually receive the order. Another thing that you want to look for when looking for your manufacturer is, do you enjoy the conversations with them? Do you have a good relationship? Because if they're taking a long time to respond right now, that's not going to get any better once you send them your money. The response time should be the shortest before you ever pay them any money, because as soon as you put in a deposit, they have your money and don't have as much incentives to win you over. It's the same thing with dating. If someone's acting crazy on the first, second, or third date, then you might want to avoid them because they're probably only going to get crazier. There are a bunch of other things on the checklist as well, like willingness to sign an NNN. And an NNN stands for non-compete, non-disclosure, and non-circumvent. This is a way for you to protect the privacy of your product, to make sure that they won't copy your product. And this is something to be aware of. Sometimes these Chinese or other overseas manufacturers will copy your product. That's one of the other reasons why we never went with Alibaba.com for creating a product even before the recent tariffs. The next most common way that most people work with manufacturers is using Google. and look at it. I typed in grass-fed beef jerky sourcer. And for those that don't know, carnivore jerky is specifically going to be a beef jerky targeted towards people that are on the carnivore diet. And when I typed in grass-fed beef jerky supplier, we see a ton of different options here. You can also use words like manufacturer, private label, or white label. Something to keep in mind is that when you're first working with a manufacturer, if you can find someone in the same city as you, even if they're a little bit more expensive, it's going to make your life so much easier. Now keep in mind that these first couple listings are sponsored, meaning people are paying for them. So we're going to want to look at some other ones. Let's just look at the first one here. And what I would recommend doing is giving them a call and actually having a conversation. And here's a huge tip. When you are looking for a manufacturer, especially in the United States, sure, feel free to send emails, but the best way to develop a relationship is to actually get on the phone. A lot of these manufacturers are old school. They don't use email. They don't even have websites, or if they do have websites, they're really old school. And we'll talk about how to find these old school manufacturing companies that are going to be even a little bit cheaper in just a second. That's ThomasNet.com, one of the ways that I recommend doing it. But let's look at a couple more of these websites. You can put your information on the website, but I don't recommend sending out emails and sitting there twiddling your thumbs waiting. So I recommend getting them on the phone, telling them your story, telling them your idea, tell them how excited you are for this business, and let them buy in. Let them be as excited as well. And the biggest and one of the best ways that I now find manufacturers is through the Passion Product Formula Network. Now, I understand you might not be in a network. You might not know people that have started a bunch of Amazon businesses. But if you join the Amazon FBA program, the Passion Product Formula, linked down below, there's a huge list of a bunch of manufacturers that Travis and I have personally worked with, as well as our students who have added manufacturers and vendors that they've personally worked with to this list and their experiences. And when you join the Amazon FBA program, there's a Facebook group where you can go in and ask questions. You can ask people, hey, has anyone found a manufacturer for this kind of product? And everyone is so nice in the group. Everyone is willing to help you because they know that if they help you, you're more likely to help them in the future. In fact, a lot of people will join the program just to promote their product in the Facebook group. And what ends up happening when you go to launch your product on Amazon, all the people that are part of this group are going to buy your product. They're going to leave 5-star reviews. Obviously, they're hoping that you will do the same for them. But when you're a part of this program and you're a part of this family, your first couple sales are going to come from us because we understand how important it is. So before I show you how to use ThomasNet.com, keep in mind that one of the best ways if you're getting stuck trying to find a manufacturer is joining the Passion Product Formula program. It will help you find a manufacturer. So the true answer on how I found a manufacturer was through ThomasNet.com. It works very similar to Alibaba.com, where you type in what you're looking for. If we go here and we type in grass-fed beef jerky and we click search, we can see a ton of different categories come up. So what we're going to do is go ahead and click on the manufacturer and read a little bit more about them. We're going to look at the business details. You can even look up here to see their certifications. We can get some more information, and if we like what we see, we can either call the supplier or visit the website. ThomasNet now does have a messaging feature built in, but I've never personally used this before and always recommend just reaching out directly, getting them on the phone. That's the best way possible. We contacted a lot of US manufacturers, and because it is a consumable product, we really wanted to get it made in the United States. We also needed it to be things that the carnivore diet folks like, such as the beef being grass-fed, even grass-finished if possible, and the recipe for the jerky being sugar-free. But I understand that sometimes it's a little bit harder to find a manufacturer. And I wanted to share with you the 4 different tips I have that if you're struggling to find a manufacturer that you can use to find your own manufacturer. And after I show you the 4 ways that you can find a manufacturer, I'll share with you how you can get your product shipped from your manufacturer into the Amazon FBA warehouse. And this is true whether your product is overseas or whether it's in the United States. I'll talk about both of these different ways and how you can do it, as well as something a lot of people don't think about, how you can get your product inspected. Because let's just say you're producing your product overseas in India. You buy thousands of dollars worth of products, you don't want to get it shipped into the United States, and then it ends up that your product's crap. You can hire an inspector for around $100 and they'll go to the factory and make sure that you have a quality product before it gets shipped out. And if not, your manufacturer will have to fix it. But first, let me share with you 4 more ways that you can find a manufacturer for your Amazon FBA product. Here's a secret. You can actually use a tool in Jungle Scout to find out who is the manufacturer for almost any product on Amazon. You just go to Suppliers here, and then to the Supplier Database. Click on the Company tab and type in the company that you're trying to figure out who their manufacturer is. So if I type in yoga mat into Amazon, I see a bunch of different yoga mat companies. One of them is the Gayam company right here. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it into the Jungle Scout tool right here. We're going to click Search, and then you can see the company listed and you can see who their top suppliers are. So if you have competitors in your market and you are to figure out who they're using as their manufacturer, this is an absolutely amazing tool. And I do have the hookup with Jungle Scout. There's a link in the description below as well as a discount. So if you're going to sign up for Jungle Scout, I highly recommend using the discounted link in the description down below. But you can even search by ASIN. So instead of searching by company right here, we can take the ASIN number, which if we scroll down to the bottom, we can see the ASIN number and we can copy this and we can paste it in here. And you'll find, like I said, the manufacturer for just about any product on Amazon. Now, this tool isn't always 100% accurate, but it's often very surprising how often it is accurate. Another way that I recommend finding manufacturers is to type into Google whatever your product is, space conventions. Go to the website of the conventions that is your industry, and you can look up who they are exhibiting. You can either go to this convention yourself, walk around the convention and talk to everybody, or you can go to the list of people that are exhibiting at the conventions. For instance, we see here that there is a 2023 exhibitor list, and there's a growing list right here, and you can contact each one of these people individually. Oftentimes at these kinds of conventions, it's going to be suppliers and manufacturers. Now, I know a lot of people are not based in the United States. Maybe, for instance, you're based in the UK or in Europe, and you're looking for a manufacturer that's based in your home country. You can use these websites like europages.co.uk, and it's very similar to the way that Alibaba works. You would just type whatever you're looking for a manufacturer for, scroll around, and then you see, for instance, this manufacturer is based in France, and they're verified by Europages. You can click on their profile, and you can navigate to find out more information about them. But if you're struggling to find a manufacturer, my last piece of advice is to hire somebody, and you can hire a sourcing agent. This one site, Makers Row, where you can hire a concierge service for about $1,000. And they're going to be an expert in the industry, and they're going to help you find a manufacturer. Now, Makers Row is a website that you can use to find manufacturers on your own. It's about $400 a year, or you can use a concierge service in addition to the website. Some will charge you a flat fee, others will charge you a percentage of the final order. You can just go to Google, type in whatever your product is, space sourcing agent, and you'll be able to find a manufacturer. Now, if you're struggling, you can always go to LinkedIn and find people that are in your industry. Send them a message and ask if you could pay them for their time. But at this point, hopefully you've found a manufacturer. And I know for Carnivore Jerky, we've already found our manufacturer, we've already paid them, and let me share some details on how it worked out with us. One big concern of ours when looking at this was the price and whether we'd be able to be profitable. Some manufacturers will charge with samples, but if they believe in the long-term vision and you've proven yourself as a long-term client, sometimes they would even do this process for free. Because we were created a product for the carnivore diet, we were cutting out all the preservatives, the sweeteners, and the other things that are found in many jerkies that might not be acceptable on the carnivore diet. We settled on a recipe that included only 3 ingredients: salt, bone broth, and the jerky itself, which our manufacturer helped us create. We worked out this recipe alongside a manufacturer. This is another big thing. A lot of manufacturers have expertise, so you can lean into their guidance to create a product. And luckily for us, we found a manufacturer that really believed in our vision and was willing to work with us for long-term success. Because of this, they also let us place an order for our first run of only 600 units of jerky, which provided us a really easy way to test the product out without investing too much money into it. When we received the first product one, the product tasted so good that we just knew this was our manufacturer. Even though it was more costly to do things like grass-fed beef, we knew that it would be worth it because we would create a product that was really, really great. But if you're getting your product manufactured overseas, you can send an agent into the warehouse and actually have them inspect the product. One way that you can find an agent is if you go to Alibaba.com, go to Buyer Central, and click on Production Management and Inspection Services. And look here, production monitoring is only $48 and inspection is $118. Other countries and sites have services just like this, so even if you don't use Alibaba, it is a breeze to do. Many of them have it built in, and there are also dedicated sites for doing exactly this. When you get your products inspected, they will give you a giant PDF report with pictures of your products. They test it out, they tell you what the grade is. Then they'll check a bunch of different products at random to make sure that they're all up to their standards. Now, if you do like your product, it's time for you to get it sent into the Amazon warehouse. And again, if you're getting your product from overseas, Alibaba has logistics services. It's very simple to use. A lot of times, your manufacturer will also have logistics services, but you just have to go here and you have the origin of China, and your manufacturer will give you the specific address. And then the destination, and then you can get this through Amazon if you're getting it sent directly to Amazon, or by going through the shipping wizard on the Amazon seller website. This is the process that only Amazon can guide you through the shipping wizard, so that's how you set up a shipment with Amazon, which we'll talk about in a later video. Or you could have it sent to the office or your warehouse or even your house if you want. Then you can decide whether or not you want to do air shipping or sea shipping, with a third option for smaller shipments being DHL. Now keep in mind, air shipping is going to be faster, but it's also going to be more expensive. Sea shipping is going to take longer, sometimes between like 4 to 6 weeks, but it's also going to be a lot cheaper. Air shipping typically only takes a few days. DHL is even faster and more expensive, maybe a week at most. Now, if your product's being manufactured in the United States, you can go to freightquote.com. There's a bunch of other websites that are similar, and all you have to do is put in your requested loading date to when you want the trucking service to pick up your product. You can put in the origin. I'm just going to put in one zip code here, and you can put in the destination. I'll just put another one in here and click Start Your Quote. You can choose between a couple of different services. Now, if you're new to this, you're probably going to choose LTL. LTL stands for less than truckload. Oftentimes your manufacturer will pack the products onto pallets, and a pallet takes less than a full truckload, so you would click LTL. Now, on the other hand, if it's just a small box, you can click on small parcel. But if you're going to do small parcel, and we actually did this for Rocket Tea, we just had about 6 boxes and we sent those using UPS. You can use UPS or FedEx. Now, if you're sending it into the Amazon warehouse, you're going to want to use UPS, and you're going to want to do this through the Amazon website. And I'll show you how to do that in a future video, but it's very simple. On the other hand, if you're looking to send in a full truckload, you can click this option. But anyways, let's just click on LTL and you can get an idea. And let's go standard LTL. Click next, next, and next. And they even have a system for Amazon warehouse if you're going to be sending a product into the Amazon warehouse. From here, you can fill out some more information and they're going to give you a list of quotes. And that's really it. Once you click submit, the trucking company will go to your manufacturer, pick it up, and drop it off at the Amazon warehouse. I know when I first did this, I was really stressed out because I didn't know if my manufacturer was going to know what to do. I didn't know if the Amazon FBA warehouse was going to know how to handle this. But that is what all these companies do all day long. It's very simple, very straightforward. And that's how simple it is to get your product manufactured and shipped into the Amazon warehouse. And if you're looking for even more information on how to start your Amazon FBA business, I do have a free 10-hour course that you can get by clicking that link right here. So click that link, I'll see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.